Hello Divi Nation and welcome. We have a 5-part mini-series for you, how to create an elegant wedding website with Divi. Throughout this tutorial, I'll be using the Visual Builder and you get to see me build this website step by step behind the scenes. The goal of this mini-series is to inspire you and show you the power of Divi. So without wasting a lot of time, let's dive in and let me show you how we managed to build this website. We're going to start designing our website by adding our logo and then adding pages. So let's come over here to Divi Theme Options. And in the General tab, let's add our logo. So I'm going to click Upload. Now my logo is on my desktop, so that's where I'm going to upload it from. So I'm going to click Select Files, click on Desktop. And this is the folder I'll be referring to throughout this tutorial. Okay, so my logo is here. I'm going to double click on it. And then I'm going to set it as a logo. I'm going to click on Save. Next, we need to add some pages. So let me come over here to Pages, click on Add New. So our first page is going to be the home page. Now, don't worry about adding information on these pages. We are going to come back and do that. So we're just going to add the pages. So I'm going to click Publish. Next, go ahead and add the gift list and the gallery page and make sure that you publish those pages. Right, so next we need to add our menu. So let's come over here to Appearance and then click on Menus. So at the moment we don't have a menu set, so we're going to name our menu Main Menu, but you can name your menu whatever name you want, it doesn't really matter. Click on Create Menu, and then we're going to add these pages that we've just created onto our menu. So I'm going to make sure I select the Gallery, Gift List, and Home. Click on Add to Menu. And then you can rearrange these as you want. Click on Save Menu. Right, so the final thing we're going to do here is to make sure that the menu that we've just created is set as the primary menu. And to do that, we need to come over here to Manage Locations. And then for the primary menu, click this drop down and select Main Menu. Click on Save Changes. So that's it, our menu is now sorted. Let's do a quick preview. So I'm going to open this page in a new tab. And then we can see our menu is right here. Now, right now, our page is set as a blog. So let's fix that. So I'm going to come back over here and go to Settings and Reading. So we're going to make sure our page is set to static and the front page is to be set as Home. Save changes. So now our website is operating as a website and not as a blog. So I'm going to refresh this and now you can see that our main title now is the home page. Excellent. Next, let's customize our primary menu bar. So let's come over here to Divi, Theme Customizer. We're going to come over here to Header Navigation and click on Primary Menu Bar. Let's start off with the height. So 66 is fine. Logo max height. Now this depends on the height of your logo. So in this case, it's 180. So the text size needs to be 16. Letter spacing 2. So this makes it easier to read. And then for our font, we need to choose Railway Light. So I'm going to scroll all the way down here and this is where it is. And then we're going to select bold. So let's come over here to the text color. So I'm going to click and paste my text color. Now to make things easier for you, you can get all these colors on our post, which I'll link in the show notes below. Okay, so let's go over here to our background color. So we're going to adjust that as well. And I'm going to enter my RGBA values this time. So I'm going to press enter. And now we have a background color. Okay, so for now, we're going to click on Save and Publish. Ideally, we want our logo to be centered. So to do that, we need to come back over here onto our header format. And then for our header style, we need to make sure that it's centered. And then we're going to save and publish. So what we're going to do next is to build the hero section of our landing page. So let's come over here to Pages, click on All Pages, and then we're going to go to the home page. So I'm going to click on Edit. Click on Use the Divi Builder and let's dive into our Visual Builder. Right, so what we're going to need here is we are going to need a single row 2 text modules and a countdown module. So let me click on add. I'm going to type text to access my text module. I'm going to add that. So for now, I'm not going to add anything. So I would like to have this snap to the left side so I can see everything that I'm designing over here on my right. Okay, so for now, I'm not going to add anything in there. So I'm going to go ahead and save. Let's duplicate this because we're going to need another text module. So I'm going to duplicate that. Okay, and finally, let's add our countdown module. So I'm going to click this plus button and I'm going to search for it to make it easy for me to locate it. And I'm going to click on countdown timer. Okay, so I'm going to save for now. So if you can't see your text modules, all you need to do is to come over here to expand settings, click on the wireframe view, and now you can see them. And in fact, we can rearrange them because we want the countdown timer to be in the middle. So once you've rearranged that, come over here and click on desktop view, and that takes you back to your normal view. So next, let's go into our text module. So I'm going to click on the settings button. So in here, we're going to come over here to our design, and in our text, we're going to make sure that the font is set to Tangerine. So we're going to scroll all the way down here until we find it. And it's right here. The font size is going to be 100 for the desktop, 80 for the tablet, and 66 for the smartphone. Now we also need to adjust the margins. So I'm just going to search for the margins here, and just by typing MAR, we get the custom margins. So we want this to be 10% for the top and 10% for the bottom. So before we save, we're going to add our text. So I'm just going to type in when love takes over. And ideally, this text is much better when it's centered. So we're going to come over here, highlight all the text and center it. So next it's time to customize our countdown timer. So I'm going to save this for now. And then let's go into the settings of the countdown timer. Right, so over here we can add whatever date that we want. So I'm just going to put a date which is ahead of us. So I'll say 28th of July. So the next thing we need to do is to adjust our fonts. So I'm going to come over here to design. So let's start off with the numbers text. So we're going to come over here and change the font to Tangerine. So I'm going to scroll all the way down here and select Tangerine. The font size needs to be 74. So I'm just going to adjust that to 74. And our numbers text color needs to be this hex color. Okay, let's move on to our labels font. So we're going to come over here and do the same thing. We're going to change this to Railway Light. Next, we're going to come over here to the label text color and add our color. So I'm just going to paste it in here. Next, we need to add some custom padding to our countdown timer. So I'm just going to search for padding. So we need 10% top and 10% bottom, like that. And then finally, we need to add some CSS. So we're going to come over here, click on custom CSS, and in the main element, we're going to paste this CSS here. And as I mentioned before, this CSS code can be found on the article, and I've linked it in the show notes below. So we can see here that the text is too close together. So let's change the line height. So I'm going to just type line, and the line height we need to adjust is the numbers line height. So let's change that to 70. Okay, so that's much better now. So next we are going to add a color to our countdown timer. So I'm just going to type color, and let's change the background color, and we're going to paste it here. So once we're done with that, let's go ahead and save. So we're going to be using this countdown timer on our desktops only. So what we need to do next is to disable this on our mobile devices and tablets. So I'm just going to come over here to my wireframe view, and then I'm going to right click and click on disable. So we're going to disable the tablets and the smartphone and leave it on for the desktop. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this. So we're going to come over here and save, and let's go back into our desktop view. So what we're going to do next is we're going to duplicate this and make custom settings for the smartphone and tablets. So we're going to click this duplicate button. So for this, we are going to disable the desktop. So let's go back over here into the wireframe mode. Right click and let's click disable. So this time it's the opposite. So we're going to disable it on the desktop and activate it for the mobile and smartphone. So once we're done with that, let's go back to our desktop view. Okay, so let's go into the settings and adjust the font sizes. So let's click on our module settings, and then we're going to come into design, click on numbers text, and in here we are going to click on this smartphone icon. So for the smartphone, we just need to make sure that this is set to 74 and the height is set to 70. So let's go to the tablet and make sure that it's set to 74 as well. And over here, we need to make sure that it's the same size. Okay, so that's looking good. Now let's go to the labels text and make sure that this is set to 12 for the smartphone. And then finally, we're going to come into the advanced tab and add our custom CSS. So we're going to get rid of this CSS in the main element and we're going to paste this new CSS. So now we can see that our CSS has adjusted the size of our countdown timer. So when people view our countdown timer on mobile devices or tablets, it's going to be way different to how it is on the desktop. So that's why we've made those two changes. So this one will display on a normal screen, and then the one on the bottom here will only display on mobile devices. Next, we're going to go into our text mode that we entered earlier on, but this time we're going to start by adding our bride and bridegroom. So we're going to click on the settings, and I'm going to type the names in here. So it's James and Jessica. Right, so let's center this text. So we're going to highlight it all and center it. So you can see it right here at the bottom, but it's not quite clear. So once we make the text size bigger, you'll be able to see it. Right, so let's go into our design settings and make some adjustments. So first of all, we're going to make sure that the text is set to tangerine. And we're going to change the size to about 50 pixels. So we are going to change the text color and paste it in here. Next, we are going to add a custom margin of 10% top. So I'm just going to search for custom margin. So we can see here it's at the top. So let me enter 10% because we need a bit more breathing space between the countdown timer and the names. So the last part of this section is to add a divider. So let's save this for now and let's add a new module. So we're going to come over here and click on add new module. And this time it's going to be divider. Okay, so we want to show the divider, and let's go into the design and adjust the colors. So I'm going to paste my color in here. So here it's fine at 1%. And then finally, our line here is way too long. So let's go into the advanced tab and add custom CSS. Now the custom CSS needs to go into the main element. So we're going to paste our custom CSS. So now we can see the width of our line is much shorter. Let's go ahead now and save. So far, this is what we've done on our hero section, and it's looking pretty good so far. Okay, so let's have a quick preview and take a look at how this site looks. So I'm going to refresh this page. And so far, this is what we have. Now we can move on to the second part of our layout, where you can begin by telling your story to the guests. So we're going to add our brand new section. So we're going to come over here to our wireframe view and add our section. It's going to be a regular section, and we need 2 columns. So we're going to add the section background color. So we're going to come here to the section settings and add a background color. So we're going to paste it in here, and we're going to add 5% to the bottom padding. So I'm just going to type padding, and we're going to add 5%. Like that, and save. So next we need to go into the row settings and come over here to the design, click on sizing and make this custom width. Now we need to change this to percentage and change this to 90%. Let's come over here to our gutter width and let's set it to 1. And let's go back into our settings here and make sure that it's disabled for the phone and tablet. So we're going to click on phone and tablet. So this is only going to show on our desktop. Okay, so let's go ahead and save. And I'm just going to search for equalize. So I'm going to click on yes. So next we need to add a background color on column 1. So we're going to come over here and paste our color like that. And then we're going to scroll down here to our column 1 custom padding, and we are going to add 5% for the top, 10% for the right, 5% for the bottom, 10% for the left. So for the second column, we need to add an image instead. So let's come over here and click upload, upload files, and we are going to search for our image. So this is the image that we need to add. So I'm going to double click on it and then click upload image. So let's switch over to our desktop view so we can see what is happening. So we can see here that our first column has text and our second column has an image in the background. So what we're going to do next is to add our text module. So I'm going to add my text and center it. So I'm going to come over here to design, and in the text, I'm going to make sure the text orientation is centered. Now our text is quite difficult to read, so we need to change the text color. So we're going to come over here and add our value for our text color. So that's much better. We can read that easier now. So let's come over here to our text font and change that to Tangerine. And change the font size to 44. So I'm going to stretch that to 44. So the width here, we need to make sure that it's constrained to 500 pixels. So I'm just going to search for width. So I'm going to change it here to 500. And this is only going to be for desktops. Okay. So finally, let's add some padding bottom. So I'm just going to search for padding. And I'm going to add my padding bottom as 5%. So now we can see that our text is well positioned and also our image is looking pretty cool. So let's go ahead and add another text module. So before we do that, let's click on Save Changes, and then click on Add, and this is going to be a text module. So we're going to start off with entering the text. Let's go into the design mode, change the text size to 14. In fact, this 14 is fine. Text orientation, we need to make sure that this is justified. And then we are going to come over here to text font and change this to railway light. Change the font color. Okay, that's much better. And the line height is fine at 1.7 EM. And then finally, we need to make sure that the max width is set to 500. So I'm just going to type in max width and set that to 500. And then save changes. Oh, before I forget, this railway light needs to be set to bold so it's easier to read. And then save and exit. So the next thing we're going to do here is to duplicate this text module. So I'm going to click this duplicate button. So we can see here our text is a bit too much. So I'm going to come over here and get rid of some of it by just highlighting and deleting like that. Okay, so that's looking much better. Okay, so what we need to do is to duplicate this row. So I'm going to come over here and click this duplicate button like that. So now we have two identical rows. So what we need to do here is to have the opposite effect that we have here on the top. So we are going to move our text module here over to the right. So I'm just going to drag and add it over to the right like that. And I want to do the same with this one. Okay. Now we can see here that in our settings, we had some padding. So we need to make sure that we remove the padding on this column. So let's go into our settings here. So I'm going to click on settings. So I'm just going to type column so I can locate the column. So we can see here that our column 1 has all this custom padding. So this is what we need to get rid of and add all this custom padding onto column 2. So I'm just going to copy this. In fact, I'm going to cut and paste it. So I'm going to paste it here into column 2. Do the same here. Okay, so now pretty much we are getting close to what we have here at the top. So the only thing that we need to do now is to make sure that this is a solid color, and we need to upload a new image onto this one. So we're going to copy the color that we have here, and we're going to paste it on column 2 background, like that. And then we need to get rid of this image in the column 2 background. So I want to highlight it all and delete it. Okay, and then finally we need to add an image to column 1. So I'm going to come over here, making sure that I'm on column 1 background image, and click upload files, select files, and this is the image that we're after. Okay, so I'm going to double click on it and then set it up as my main image for that background, like that. And then finally, let's go ahead and save. So far this is how our layout is looking, but we want these to be flash and like really close together. So what we need to do now is to get rid of this padding that we have. So we're going to come over here to the settings. I'm just going to search for padding, and I'm just going to make sure that the padding top is set to 0 and the padding bottom is set to 0. We're going to do the same onto this one. Now we can see that everything is close together and it's looking way much better. Okay, so next we are going to create another 2-column row and hide for desktop. So we're going to add another 2-column row. So this time we're going to make sure that this row is full width. So we're going to come over here to the row settings, and I'm going to make sure that this is full width. And the gutter setting is set to 3. So I'm just going to search for gutter. Okay, so that's fine. It's on 3. And for desktop, I'm just going to search for disable, and we're going to make sure that this is set for the desktop. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into the design tab and add some padding for the columns. So I'm just going to search for column and column padding. So the column 1 on the top, we're going to add 5%, 10% for the right, 5% for the bottom, 10% for the left. So we're going to use the same values for the custom 2 padding. So I'm just going to copy and paste. Okay, so now that we have all that set, the next thing we need to do is to upload the background images for the column 1 and column 2. So we're going to come over here and add the first image. Come over here to my media library, click on the first image and upload the image. So now you can see it's showing here. And then we need to do the same on the second column. So we're going to click upload and upload our image. So let's go ahead and save for now. So as we take a look at this, this is what will be showing on our desktop, because if we come over here to our settings and if we check the display, it's disabled on phone and tablet. So this will be showing on the desktop only. Okay. And then the bottom one will only be showing on mobile devices. Okay, let's go ahead and save and do a quick preview and see what our page looks like so far. And so we want to come over here to this new tab and refresh the page. Okay, so we can see here we have a problem. Our images are not showing. So I think I haven't equalized my columns. So let's go back in here and fix that. So we're going to come over here to this first row, and I'm just going to type EQ for equalize. So we can see here our column height is not equalized. So I'm going to click on yes, save that. And let's do the same on the row below it. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click EQ to find it quickly. And then I'm going to equalize that as well and save. And then finally, I'm going to save my page and we're going to preview this one more time. So I'm going to refresh the page, and this time we have our images. Now, if you take a look at this, you may notice that our images are a bit stretched. Now, this is because I'm using a very large screen. So in your case, this may look slightly different. But the main thing is we've got our image on the right and we have the opposite effect here on the second row, and our image is showing on the left. Okay, so we can see here our description text here at the top is quite close together. So let's go in and fix that. So to fix that, we're going to come over here to design, text, and we are just going to adjust the text height. Right, so I think 1.2 is good. We're going to save that and do the same here. Come over here to design, text, and change the line height to 1.2. Like that. And then let's go ahead and save. Okay, so in our next section, we're going to add the best man, the maid of honor, the bridesman, and groomsman. So let's go ahead and add a new section. So we're going to come over here. I prefer using my wireframe mode. So I'm going to click this plus button here to add our new section. We're going to make it a single row, and we're going to add a text module in the single row. So we're going to type in the text, a special thanks to you. Okay, so that's the text we're going to have. I'm going to save this for now, and then we're going to style it later. Let's add another row. So this row is going to have 2 columns, and we're going to have a person module. So I'm going to click on that, save that, duplicate this, drag it over to the right. Okay, let's add another row, and this time we're going to have 4. But again, as before, these are going to be person modules. So I'm just going to duplicate one of these and just drag it to the bottom here. And then just duplicate this. Or in fact, we can use a shortcut, Command C or Control C on a PC, and then Command V or Control V on a PC. Okay, so I'm just going to repeat that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is to give this section a background color. So I'm just going to click on background, and let's add a background color. So I'm just going to paste it in here like that and save. The next thing we need to do is to style our text. So I'm going to come here into my text settings, and in fact, let's go into our desktop view so we can see what we're adding. Right, so first of all, I'm going to come over here to my text, go into design, and we are going to change the font size to 100 for our desktop view, and 68 for tablet and smartphone. Okay, so that's looking good. Our font here needs to be Tangerine. So we're going to scroll down here and add Tangerine. Let's come over here to the text color, and let's add our text color. We're going to change the orientation to centered, and then we're going to add some custom margins. So we're going to click on spacing to add our custom margin. So for the top, we're going to add 10% and 5% at the bottom. Like that. Let's click Save Changes. So now it's time to add our image to our person module. So let's come over here into our wireframe view so we can see where we're adding our person module. So I'm going to click into the settings here. Now let's give this guy a name. So his name is going to be Mark, best man. So for the Facebook URL, I'm just going to add a blank link for now. And for Twitter, we're just going to add a blank link as well. Now let's add our description. And then we're going to add our image. So I'm going to come over here to image, click upload, upload files, select files. And then I'm going to find my image. Okay, so what we need to do next is to style our text. So let's come over here to the design tab. Let's change our header font, Railway Light, and we're going to make sure that it's bold. Our header font size needs to be 14. And then I'm going to paste my color. Okay, let's come over here to the body text and change the font to Railway Light, just as we have it on the title. Okay, so for the font style, we're going to make this bold. We're going to make this, change this color. I'm going to paste our color in here. So next we need to add a diamond shape to this image. So to do that, we're going to come over here to the Advanced tab, click on Custom CSS, and we need the member image and paste this CSS code. So now we can see we've styled this. So that's looking pretty cool. So what we need to do next is to duplicate this, because our next module is going to pretty much have the same settings as we have here. So let's come over here to our wireframe mode, duplicate this, drag it over to the right. And then we're just going to change the name and the image. Okay, so I'm going to come over here to desktop view. So the name here is going to be Ashley. So I'm going to come over here to the settings and type the name. Let's type the position, and it is maid of honor. And then finally, we need to add our image. So I'm going to click upload, upload files, search for my image, and we're going to add our image. Click upload image, and now we have this. Now you can see how that has saved us a lot of time trying to do all the settings over and over again. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and save. So moving along, we need to go in and add the rest of the images. So let's come over here into our wireframe mode. So because we're going to be using the same person module and all the settings are going to be the same, it's easy for us now to just duplicate what we've done here and drag it here to the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to delete these because all these need styling. So let's duplicate these 3 more times. And because they have all the styling that we need, it just makes it easier for us to just adjust the images. So all I have to do now is to change the images. So let me just show you what I need to do. I'm going to come over here to my desktop mode. So each of these modules, I just need to come in, change the image and the name. So I'm going to click on settings so I can do just the first one for you. I'm going to delete some of this text because there's a bit too much. And then I'm going to come over here to the name. We're going to change this to Jane. And for the position, we're going to leave that as blank. And then we're going to come over here to image, upload image. And we're going to search for Jane's image. Okay, and that's the image we're after. Click upload image. Okay, so now we have Jane. So go ahead and make the changes to the rest of the images. Now, one more thing I forgot to mention is to align the name and also the description. So let's come over here to our text module, and we're going to go into advanced, click on custom CSS. And over here, we need to add the CSS to the title. Okay, so now we can see Ashley is now centered, and we can do that to the position as well. So now that's centered. Go ahead and save. And then let's come over here to Jane and do the same thing. So click on advanced, custom CSS, and then for the title, we're just going to add this CSS. So what this CSS is doing is pretty much just aligning the text center. So once you've done that, go ahead and save changes and then repeat this process to the rest of the images. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've added all my images and everything is looking good. The last part now of this page is to add the contact information, because ideally we would like our audience to be able to find where we are. So we're going to add our map and our address information. So let's add a new section. So we're going to come over here and click on this plus button to add our new section. So we're going to go for a regular section. And we're going to choose this one. So we need this area here to have the map and then the other information on these two. So let's go ahead and select this one. So in the first module, we need to add a map. So I'm just going to search for it. So for this map to work, you need to add a Google API key. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and save, and then come back to it once I have my API key. Now, if you want to find out how to add your API key or create an API key, there's also instructions in the post, which I'll link in the show notes below. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and save changes. Okay, so next we are going to add some text modules. So I'm going to click on add new module. I'm going to add text. So my text here is going to be called where. We're going to go into the design tab, and in fact, I'm going to switch to my visual mode so we can see what we are typing. Okay, so first off, in the text, we need to make sure that it's centered. The font needs to be tangerine. So we're going to change the size here to 50 pixels, and we are going to also adjust the color. I'm going to paste my color in here. The line height is fine at 1.7 EMs. Okay, so the next module we're going to add is also going to be a text module, and pretty much it's going to have the same settings. So I'm just going to duplicate this and just drag it over to the right like that. So this one is where, and this one needs to be called when. So I'm going to highlight and just adjust the text, and okay, so that's looking good. Next we need to add a blurb module. So I'm going to click this plus button here and search for blurb, and it's right here. Okay, so let's start by adding our address. So I'm just going to put a fictitious address. $47567. Okay, so that's looking good. We're going to come over here, and so let's go into the design and change the text. So first of all, text orientation needs to be center. So our body font needs to be set to Railway Light. We're going to make it bold. 14 pixels is fine. And we're going to change the text color. And then the line height is, let's set that to 1 EM because this is a bit too much. Okay, that's looking better. And then we're going to add the icon. So let's come over here to content, and then we're going to click on image and icon, use icon. So the icon we need here is a pin. Now the size of the icon is a bit too big, so let's change that. So I'm going to type here icon, and now we're getting more options. So we're going to click here on use icon font size and set that to 42. Okay, that's much better. And we're also going to change the color. So I'm going to paste my color in here like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and save. So let's duplicate this because we're pretty much going to have the same settings. I'm going to drag this over to the right. So we're going to go into the settings. We're going to add some lorem text. Let's come over here to image and icon, and we're just going to choose a different icon for this. So I'm going to search for the one that is similar to time. Okay, so this is the icon we're going to use. And then we can see here our line height doesn't look right. So let's come over here to text. So let's come over here to the design tab, click on text, body text, and let's increase our line height a little bit. Okay, so I think 1.5 is perfect. Okay, so that's looking good. I'm going to go ahead now and save. Okay, so finally we need to add our API key. So I'm going to come over here to my module settings, click on map, click on change API key, and then I'm going to come over here and add my Google API key. I'm going to go ahead and save. So now that my API key is added, I'm going to come over here to add new item. Okay, so I'm going to add the address. I'm just going to click Columbus. I'm going to click on find. Okay, so I've got that roughly. So now our map is showing. So I'm going to go ahead now and save. Okay, so I'm going to save changes. Okay, to finalize this page, we need to add the background color of our section. So we're going to come here to section settings, and then we're going to click on background and add our background color. And then I'm going to click on save. So let's save the page and do a quick preview. So I'm going to hit Command S for saving, and then we're going to exit the Visual Builder. So as we scroll through our page, we can see that it's looking good so far. In the next part of our mini-series, we're going to see how we can create a gallery page dedicated to sharing pictures with our guests after the wedding. So there you have it. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and do subscribe on our social media platforms. By doing so, you'll be notified every time we post new videos similar to what you've seen today. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you soon.